back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. Lighting is kind of off and I don't like it, but we're just gonna go with what we have, okay? Thank you. Today is day 2 of Bookmas, and if you don't know, Bookmas is like this thing in December where creators will post different types of Christmassy videos, either every day, 2 days, everybody's different. And Bookmas is obviously more book related. So for me, I'm calling it Bookmas, but some videos will be more like Christmas related. Today, we're definitely doing a book video. And this one isn't necessarily like Christmas related, but it's end of the year related, so I'm still calling it Bookmas. Today's video, I will be talking about my end of the year TBR. Now, I'm a mood reader, 100%. So I say TBR, but it's just really books that I've been eyeing for like all year and I never picked up, and I feel like I need to soon. So there are 10 books on this list, and I've seen people call it like 10 before the end, and I really like that. So that's what we're calling it. It's my 10 before the end TBR. I hope I get to pick up before the end, or books that I hope to pick up before the year ends. So let's get started with the most obvious, Christmas books. Of course I had to put these on the list. I know this is 3 books. I have more than 3 Christmas books, but I will count these as 1 book because I don't know which Christmas books I'm gonna be wanting to read the most, or that I'm going to end up reading. So, you know, counting this as 1 book, I want to read Christmas books before the year ends. Obviously, like, if you know me, Christmas is my favorite holiday. So like, just for the sake of presenting some books. This is the Mistletoe Motive, the Christmas Fix, and Christmas Baggage. I do not know what each of these are about, so I'm not gonna tell you, but they're Christmassy. That's all I need. So first book, Christmas books. I really want to read Christmas books before the year ends. Next up is a sequel of a romance book series I started maybe April. I can't remember exactly, but the book is Ricochet by Krista and Becca Ritchie. I read Addicted to You and I really liked it, like enough to get the second book, but I just never gravitated towards this one for no like real reason, honestly. Like I was just like not in the mood for it. But this is a really short book, not even 300 pages. I could probably read this really quickly. And also I just want to know where the story goes. I really want to read the next like book series that takes place in the same world but different characters. I don't know why those ones just intrigue me like way more, but according to the authors, you gotta read the first 3 of this series before you start the next one. Another book I'm hoping to read, the lighting is just awful. It is Ricochet, and I don't know, I feel really confident that I could read this because it's really short. Next up is a book that I have no good reason as to why I haven't read this yet. I see everybody loving it. It's a cozy fantasy, like that just screams my name, because I've mentioned this before, but like high fantasy and like dark fantasy isn't exactly what I like. I'm open to trying it, but I feel like I would like better cozy fantasy, and I have not read this book yet. I need to read this. It's like this woman that has half a soul. She's been cursed by a fairy. You know, I feel like she doesn't think that she can fall in love with just half a soul. Yeah, that's really all I know about this book, but I'm really intrigued. I really want to read this. I've only heard amazing things. People say it's like a comfort read. It just sounds so good, so why haven't I picked it up yet? That is why it's on the list. I really hope to read this before the year ends. The next book shouldn't be like that big of a surprise, given that everybody right now is obsessed with this. The Hunger Games. With the new movie coming out, I feel like everybody is just rejoining that obsession over Hunger Games, me included. I read these books like 10 years ago probably. I was in 9th grade in high school, and I've been wanting to reread them eventually in English because I originally read these in French. I don't know, I just never picked up the English books because the paperback are stiff as a brick and I do not like that, so I never picked up the paperbacks. And then one day I saw this guy selling like all 3 hardcovers on Marketplace. Now I have them in hardcover and I really need to reread this. I need to re-experience this sooner than later. It's so good. My sister's been reading the first one for the first time, and I'm like really jealous because I won't get to experience it for the first time again, but I can experience it for the second time. And I feel like the second time it's going to be the nostalgia just hitting hard. And yeah, I'm excited to see like how I perceive the third book. I remember not loving it because it was like very like war heavy, and I just like that wasn't my vibe at the time. But I feel like now I'm grown and I would probably like understand and appreciate it more. So yeah, for this year, hoping to read at least the first one. The second and the third one will be following very close to this one, and then I'll be able to read the newer one, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I think I'm hoping to re-experience this book before the year ends. It would also be a very quick read because I've read this already, so I'm gonna be annoying with this, but like this lighting is just not it. Let's try to fix it a bit. The next book is just a really random romance book that I want to read, but I thought I'd put it in this list because why not? Done and dusted. And I don't know, this book was just really popular, I think, over this summer, and I recently got it at the bookstore because it was there for the first time, and now I want to read it. It's kind of a short book and it's written really like in a big font, so maybe that's why I want to read it. It will probably get me closer to my reading goal. But yeah, basically this says in the back, it's off limits, but he's never been good at following the rules, and it's a small town brother's best friend romance. Sounds lovely and entertaining, so it's on the list for those reasons. It's really random romance books. Romance in general I want to read. I've heard good things about this, so hopefully I'll have a chance to read it before the year ends. Next is another cozy fantasy, and I feel like it's even more cozier than the last one we talked about. So that is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I've had this for so long that I have the original like indie published one. I have not read this yet. Why? Why do I do this to myself? Like, I'm going to enjoy this so much, but I keep putting it off. They tried to open up a cafe in this fantasy world, and I love coffee and cafes, and then like put that into a fantasy world, cozy. It's just sounds perfect. Should I read this like next? I probably should. Like another quick, easy read to get closer to my reading goal, you know? So why not? So yeah, Legends and Lattes, another book that is just like, I just say like, why haven't I read this yet? I've had it for so long. Just a quick little random thought. A book that I don't have on this list because I don't have the physical copy of is Legendary by Stephanie Garber. I read Caraval 2 days ago, and I ordered Legendary the next day, and I definitely think I'm going to be reading that in December. So just saying, that is probably on my TBR, but it's not in the video just because I forgot about it because I don't have the physical copy. Okay, the next one, I feel like if my boyfriend sees this and then this book is not in the video, he would be so mad. So this is for you, babe. Berserk. I'm on volume 14. Again, very quick read. Could help me get to my reading goal, but this is really dark, like the darkest book I've ever read. Somehow I've read 13 volumes of these, so you know, I've just been like putting it off because it's so dark and like I never feel ready to read it. But you know, I probably should. I feel like if I don't soon, I might never. But like I'm gonna read it when he's here so that I can get that emotional support, because he's read all of them, like all 40 something volumes, and then he keeps pushing me to read and I keep going because he wants to talk about it. But I'm like, I don't know, it's so dark, like I'm not in the right headspace. Definitely if you feel like reading these books, like please look up trigger warnings and stuff like that, because like everything is in this. Everything. But the storyline is amazing. It's really interesting. I had to put this on this list. So another book. How many are we at? We only have 3 more. Okay, the next one is a romance book that I read. The first romance book of this author. I don't think they take place in the same series. I think they're both like standalones, but they both have that like kind of paranormal thing to it. So The 7-Year Slip, I read The Dead Romantics earlier this year, and I just really want to read this so bad. I keep seeing it on my shelves and I'm like, I'm gonna pick this up next, and then I just see like a different book and I'm like, no, this one. I don't know why I do that. I can't prioritize books at all. I'm a mood reader. I guess that's what that is. But this one, well, The Dead Romantics was about like this girl who lost her mom, I think, and then she starts seeing this guy that is actually a ghost, and there's a romance, which is weird, but just read it for yourself. And then this one, I think it's like this girl moves into her late aunt's apartment, finds a strange man standing in the kitchen, but he exists in the past, you know? It's so mysterious and like sounds so good and also very unique, and I don't know how the romance is going to take place with it, given that he's from the past. But yeah, that sounds just so good. Like the guy is like 7 years in the past, but he's able to be in the apartment. It's like a magic apartment or something. I'm really intrigued by this. Like I need to read that soon. Next book is another fantasy book, but I think it's a less cozy one. I think it's like a romantasy, but less cozy. But I've heard amazing things about this, and the cover is beautiful, and it just intrigues me for some reason. Every time I see somebody talk about it, I'm like, yeah, I'm reading that next. But then I kind of forget. So I'm putting it in this video so I don't have any excuse to just forget it, you know? So the book is One Dark Window. No idea what this is about. Absolutely no idea. Like nothing comes to mind when I see this book. I don't know what it is. Elspeth needs a monster. The monster might be her. So she needs a monster, but she might be the monster. A maiden must unleash the monster within to save her kingdom in this dark, lush, gothic fantasy debut. So it's a gothic fantasy. I've never read that before. So I don't know what it is about this book. Maybe it's the cover, but just there's something about it. I want to read it, and I think I'm going to read it before the year ends. All of that depends on just how busy I am. Another book on the list, and now we have one more to talk about, which I'm going to be so mad at myself if I don't read this book before the year ends, because the sequel, I think it's a duology, so like the last book of the duology comes out like right after Christmas, and I want to be part of that hype. So you might have guessed it, Divine Rivals. I actually started this at the end of October, but I was reading like 2 or 3 books at once, and this one just kind of like fell to the side, and I decided to leave it for like a day or two where I don't have anything else to read or to do. Like I want to read this on its own, like no other books at the same time, just this one, so I can really enjoy it. And this is, there's like a war going on, and then this girl and this boy figure out that they can talk through this magic typewriter. They're both journalists, like a rivals to lovers too. It's a YA book, and I literally have never heard a bad thing about this book. Never. Nope. Never. No, absolutely no bad reviews about this book. So really hoping to read this before the year ends so that I can go pick up the second book with everybody else and just read it with everybody else and be a part of that really magical hype that's so fun to be part of. So these are all the books that are like kind of like my priority TBR, I guess you could say, for the rest of this year. And like I always say, I might not read any of these, I might read all of these. I'm a huge mood reader, so that is something to take consideration in. It's a lot of books. And I'm also, it's going to be my exam session really soon, so that's another thing. I might not even have time to read these. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed day 2 of Bookmas. Might still be looking for some Bookmas like video ideas, so feel free to send them my way. I have a few videos like already planned that I think will be really fun. But yeah, I love to hear your suggestions. So thank you for watching. If you made it to the end, comment down this emoji, the official Bookmas emoji for this year. And also let me know if you've read any of the books I talked about today. I'd love to know your opinions, and you can maybe like tell me which one I should really prioritize within this list. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have a really good day after this, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!